Happy Good Friday, everybody, and happy Maroon Friday. Today is one of the most significant days in the Christian year, and we call it Good Friday. And it is the day that Jesus died on the cross. And why would it be good that Jesus died on the cross? Well, the reason that Jesus died is not necessarily a good thing, and that is because of our sin. But I think it's good because of some of the words that Jesus spoke on the cross. In particular, one word just before he gave up his spirit, and that is a Greek word, tetelestai. Now, most English translations of the Bible translate that word, "it is finished," but it is really a legal term that means paid in full. And what Jesus was saying was that the debt that you owe because of your sin has been paid in full by the death of Jesus on the cross. That sin has been paid in full. Many years ago, I came across a book, this book right here called Lift High the Cross. It's been written by one of the former bishops of Mississippi, Bob Morgan. And if you've been in Mississippi, United Methodist in Mississippi for very long, you'll recognize the name Bob Morgan. And I actually got to serve under Bob Morgan in Kentucky because he left Mississippi, went to Kentucky, and when I was a student at Asbury serving a church in Kentucky, he was my bishop there. And this is a great book, really. And there's an illustration that he tells in this book, a story that I've used many times in sermons over the years, and maybe you've heard me tell it. But I want to read it to you this morning, straight from the source, straight from where I got it. And I hope that it will mean something to you today on this Good Friday. A number of years ago, the Archbishop of Paris preached in the Notre Dame Cathedral. He shared with the congregation the story of an incident in that cathedral that happened 40 years before. There were 3 students touring Paris. They came into the cathedral to look it over. They were cynical and rude young men who thought all religion was fraud. 2 of the students dared the third to go into the confession box and make a bogus confession to the priest. They badgered the student until he agreed. He did just what he was dared to do. He entered the confession booth, made a bogus confession. The old priest listened to the student's confession, knowing there was no truth in it. He listened to the false confession, sensed the student's arrogance, and said, "Very well, my son. Every confession requires a penance, and this will be yours. I ask you, I dare you, to go into the chapel and stand before the crucifix, look into the face of the crucified Christ, and say, 'All this you did for me, and I don't give a damn.'" Not once, but 3 times you are to repeat these words. The student swaggered out of the confession box, his friends waiting on him. He boasted of completing the dare and told them about the penance the priest required him to make. His friends insisted that he would have to do what the priest asked him to do if he was expected to collect on his wager. Slowly, the student approached the high altar and stood before the crucifix. He looked up into the face of Christ and slowly repeated, "All this you did for me, and I don't give a damn." The second time he said it, and the third time he could hardly get the words out of his mouth. Very slowly he said, "All this you did for me," and in a whisper, "and I don't." He never finished that sentence. He went back to the confession booth and asked the priest to hear his true confession. The Archbishop told the congregation that this was the start of a painful experience that changed the student's life and finally brought him to the priesthood. Then he told them that that was over 40 years ago and that he was that young student. Has the cross won your heart, claimed your life? You know, it takes a mighty hard heart to be unmoved in the face of the cross. Little wonder that Isaac Watts could write, "When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and pour contempt on all my pride. Were the whole realm of nature mine, that were an offering far too small. Love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all." May you have a wonderful and blessed Good Friday. God bless you.